And today my adventure begins right here at this railroad track located on the back roads of Georgia. Good afternoon, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitchhiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm probably about 20 miles outside of the city of Savannah, Georgia. We're gonna do some back road stuff today. Maybe look at some abandoned places along the way. If I look for anything interesting that catches my eye, we're gonna stop and check it out, that's for sure. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get started. And we're gonna start things out right here at this very abandoned, creepy looking house. Or is it a house? Is the real question. Is this a house? Or is this some type of general store? And the reason I think it might be a general store is because of something hiding right beyond those bushes. Let's see if we can get a better look at it. Yeah, right there beyond the growth. If you can see that rusted out top, that is a gas pump, probably dating back to the 1930s or 40s. Very, very old, but you can't even hardly see it here in the summertime. It's in July, so everything is very green and overgrown. Can't really make out what it is. Maybe we can get a better shot of if I come over here, possibly. Should I walk through here? Maybe I shouldn't walk through here. Oh shucks, too late. We're walking through here because we want to see what that is. Look, I really think that is. I think that's an old gas pump right there. Check that out. That is pretty awesome. I almost missed that. I mean, look how hidden it is. At least this time of year. I guess you come here in the winter time, probably wouldn't be as bad. But anywho, I'm gonna get out of the bushes before we kick something up we don't want to kick up, and keep on moving. We got some towns to go visit today, so let's go ahead and get driving and see what we can see. It's gonna be a hot one. Now, speaking of old general stores, not too far from where we started our vlog off, look at that place. Is that not awesome? It's called Smith's. Got a Coca-Cola sign like right there. Look at that old gas pump that they have right here. Yeah, this place is awesome. And they got some old relics. Over here, some old rusted out vehicles, some tractors. There's a flatbed truck of some type. Some old signage up there, Coca-Cola sign. Yeah, that's awesome. That is really, really cool. All right, first stop, welcome to Springfield. They just don't give an F around here. I'm just kidding. But we are in the heart of Effingham County. And that is a really very colorful and beautiful mural right there. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Springfield before we take our little downtown tour. So Springfield is one of the oldest towns here in eastern Georgia, and it has served as the county seat of Effingham County since 1799, located about 25 miles to the northwest of Savannah. The town is known for its well-preserved historic district, courthouse square, small town charm. Okay, so I made my way up here to the corner of East 2nd Street and South Laurel Street. That is where you're going to find this big brick building, City of Springfield. They got the city hall right there and the police department. So when you hear a town name like Springfield, you're probably wondering how it got its name. Historians believe that the town received the name from a nearby mineral spring or a spring-fed area that early settlers relied upon. The Georgia legislature officially incorporated Springfield as the town in December 31st, 1838. So one thing I'm noticing, the town's in fantastic shape. It looks like it's been like revitalized over the last decade or so. Look at this old Frog Moon bookshop. And then they got blown away hair salons. They even have an old theater over here called Mars Theater. You know I love theaters. We'd definitely have to go over there and check that out. So the town of Springfield remained a small courthouse town throughout the 1800s until the arrival of the railroad and the George M. Brinson sawmill in the early 1900s. These industries sparked rapid growth, increased the population by nearly 500%, and bringing new businesses and neighborhoods to the community. Another interesting thing about Springfield, several major fires between the late 1800s and the 1960s destroyed many early commercial buildings. Despite these setbacks, Springfield retained much of its original street layout and many historic homes. So now let's talk a little bit about the stats of this beautiful little town. The population here is 4,119 souls. Median age here is very healthy, 32.4. So next up, let's look at demographics. 71.21% is white, 24.69% is black, 1.22% is American Indian, 2.88% is mixed race. And then we're going to look at the income index. Income per capita is 93,595. That is amazing. That is one of the highest income per capitas I have seen from a town that is not on an island. That is a lot of money. And then look at the median household income. It's really good too. It's 76,483. It's still, the median household income is even above the Georgia, 74,934, but slightly below the national of 81,333. And then we look down at the bottom, we look at poverty rate here. Poverty rate is really good. It's only 5.8%. There's another great stat for this little town. And then when we look at crime, crime is amazing. They only have 827 out of 100,000 people that would experience a crime. That is really, really good number. So when we look at that in percentages, they get an A rating here. That is 61% below in total crime for the national average. And then the violent crime is 52% below the national average. And then property crime is 63% below the national average. All right, next up, we're going to take a look at the Mars Theater. So this theater was built around 1944, 1945. It opened as a single screen movie house with about 300 seats and a balcony, quickly becoming a central entertainment hub here for the community. Operated by the Ramsey brothers, it showed films several days a week, along with cartoons, newsreels, and serials typical of mid-20th century theaters. It closed in the late 1950s. Yeah, Mars Theater, pretty awesome. Doesn't look like they really show movies anymore, though. But they do have like live music that you can come here and watch some bands play and perform. Right here on the door it says Summer Music Series. So you can come here and check out all these acts. This is a cute little location right here. This is called the Old Town Market, and it was established in 2022. And I would be a bet man, I would say this was a gas station at one time way back in the day. Matter of fact, you might even see where the old gas pumps used to be, right along here. This might have been one of those gas stations that you could find back in the 1950s and 60s. All right, I think that is going to wrap it up for Springfield. Now let's get back on the back roads and go check us out another town. Who knows what we're going to stumble upon. I don't know if you can see that sign there. It says Springfield 5 miles. So I've now made my way 5 miles away from Springfield to the small town of Guyton, Georgia. That's spelled G-U-Y-T-O-N. So originally this town was called Whitesville. The settlement was founded on land granted in 1792 to Revolutionary War veteran Squire Zachariah White. After his death in 1838 without any heirs, the county sold his property, laying out the streets that still define the town to this very day. So since the old name of the town was Whitesville, how did it receive its new name? So when the Central of Georgia Railway built its line through the community in the late 1830s, the railroad needed a unique name for the new station and post office. Since another town here in Georgia was already called Whitesville, the community was renamed Guyton after the local businessman Archibald Guyton. A post office was opened on December 31st of 1851. So here's a not so fun story about this town. It's called A Summer of Escape from Yellow Fever. During the mid-1800s, wealthy residents of Savannah built elegant homes here in Guyton. Because of its higher elevation, pine forest, and easy railroad access, made it a healthier place to escape outbreaks of yellow fever back in Savannah in the city. This is why Guyton has unusually large collection of historic Victorian homes and early 20th century homes. And right there is the Guyton Water Tower. Still standing strong. Looking a little rough for wear, but nonetheless, still standing strong. Next up, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Civil War connection with this town. The Confederacy operated a military hospital here in Guyton during the war, and about 26 Confederate soldiers are actually buried here in the town in a certain cemetery. In December of 1864, William Sherman and his army passed through during the Sherman's March to Sea, destroying the railroad depot and the tracks, and while looting parts of the town. And even though we don't have a depot to marvel at anymore, at least we do have a remnants of train here. This is an old train caboose here in town, and who knows, this might be about the area where the old depot once sat. Some towns do that. You can definitely tell, I bet railroad tracks used to go right down through here in the middle of town, but you know, they've been destroyed and taken up over years. But yeah, but I do want to go check out the old hospital here in town. I think I read it on a plaque at the end of the street here. We're going to circle back and go check that out real quick. So let's talk about the town's population. Population is 2,517 souls with a median age 30.9. Very healthy. Now we're going to look at demographics. 51.89% is white, 39.75% is black, 0.37% is Asian, 2.56% is mixed race, and 5.44% is other race. Then we look at income index. Income per capita here in Guyton is $36,679, which is just below the Georgia and the national average. The median household income is really good, $94,453, which is well above the Georgia and the national average. So let's scroll down a little bit and check out poverty level. It's only 7.1%, which is well below the Georgia 17.8 and the national average of 15.1. Then when we look at crime, only 806 estimate per 100K. That is a really awesome number when it comes to crime. So they get an A+. Total crime here is 62% below the national average, and violent crime here is 63% below the national average, and property crime is 62% below the national average. And check out this old mural right here. Greetings from historic Guyton, Georgia. Yeah, that is awesome. Love the train, the downtown area. Really, really cool mural. I do not see any kind of theaters, but that definitely looks like some kind of leftover seats from a theater. I love this building right here. That is so cool. The round up there on the top, that is really neat. And this building right here looks like it's really showing some age also, but very neatly kept and looking good. There's nothing here in this town that looks worn out and abandoned very much at all. And check out this old gas station right here. Those old analog gas pumps. Probably not the oldest gas pumps we've seen today, huh? But still, really, really cool. And this right here might be one of the Victorian style homes that is still standing from way back in the day. And there's one there, and there's one right over here that at one time it was a bed and breakfast. I don't know if it still is. It's right across the street here from the IGA. Yeah, this is it. I was reading about this one online, and I think this is the one that was a bed and breakfast. But this here is one of the old school Victorian style homes from way back in the day. Well over 100 years old. And earlier, I was telling you about the Confederacy who operated a military hospital here. It was this house. This house right here was the hospital. And actually, you can read about it right here. It's a lot to read, but in May of 1862, the Confederate government established a general hospital here in Guyton, Georgia. And it was right here at this location. All right, I think that is going to wrap it up for Guyton, Georgia. It was really We looked at the 2 towns I really wanted to eyeball today and check out and learn a little bit about their history and share with you. But not going to end the vlog quite yet. I'm going to go ahead and because the clouds and there is thunderstorms that supposed to pop up here in the evening. It's been a really hot day, and I'm going to make my way back toward my hotel, and then we're going to wrap our video up there. Don't want to wrap it up here because I'm afraid we might see something neat between here and there. It's like a 20-25 mile drive, so you just never know what we might see. All right, and just like that, I made it to my hotel. Staying at the Drury Plaza Hotel here in Savannah area, or it's actually called Pooler. But unfortunately, the one more thing I really wanted to see, when I got to it, there was nothing to show. It was gone. That's what happens sometimes with old abandoned places and stuff like that. Things get either fixed up and refurbished, or they just knock it down altogether. And it was an old gas station, old general store I was wanting to check out in the countryside between here and Guyton. Didn't work out. That's how it goes sometime. But all that being said, I'm done today. It is 1:01 at this very moment. It is very, very hot. So all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, my friends, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you on my next adventure. It was a hot one today, but I made the best of it. Had a lot of fun. Hope you guys had fun watching. I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe. Hope to see you all again soon. Now I'm gonna go take a shower and eat a little food, and then I'm gonna call it a night. Got a big day tomorrow. More traveling ahead.